All right, very good. Could I have a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Resolution 100204 in support of the City of Tualatin's extension of their urban renewal district. Mr. General Manager.
Thank you, Mr. President, board members. The first question should be, probably is, why are we being asked to be able to comment on this at all? The answer is that the state statute, whenever there is an urban renewal district formed, what ends up happening is anybody else who is a taxing authority in that area essentially is going to have their tax revenues reduced because the renewal district freezes the current assessed level and ensures that whatever assessments increase, the value that increases, the taxes on that go to the specific purposes within that urban renewal area. And as a result, they would not be, that increased assessed value would not be available to be taxed and to become a part of general property tax. For us at TriMet, it is a very insignificant issue because obviously looking across the whole of the region, one is we don't use property tax measures very much. And number two is because it's spread over a whole area, the freezing of assessed values in this one area is very small. However, the statute, because of the overlapping taxing districts, requires any entity that's either going to create or, in this case, extend an urban renewal district, that they need to be able to consult with, I think is the statutory phrase, any of the overlapping taxing districts. As you heard from Mr. Rux, they came and presented to Board Member Van Beveren and to me about really what their plans were. And we had made some suggestions around transit being a bigger role in it. And if in fact you look at the resolution itself, down at the bottom, next to the last page, or pardon me, next to the last whereas at the bottom, it really hits on the two items that we think are particularly important, and that is that transit-oriented facilities are located within the urban renewal area, and secondly, that they encourage design that really will integrate transit provisions in that downtown plan. Technically, you probably don't need to do this by resolution, but when Multnomah County, if you recall, came to be able to have a somewhat similar sort of issue, though not an urban renewal district, but need to be able to consult with other overlapping taxing districts, you adopted a resolution endorsing that. We thought it was appropriate here to do so likewise, and therefore recommended a resolution for your consideration.
I have a motion.
I'd like to move and also thank the City of Tualatin for making those changes, taking our suggestion. Also, it's an incredible plan. They gave me a copy of the book, and it's a pretty ambitious effort that they're undertaking, so good luck with that.
Thank you.
And I'll move for adoption.
Okay, second discussion? Yeah.
I'd like to say I have one question.
I'm sorry, located west.
Where's the wall? I've had the pleasure of doing basketball games in the wall, so I know how to get there. My question is, in that next to last whereas, where it says encourage design of private and public development, also with integrated transit provisions, but the one before that, where it's saying assist in locating other transit-related facilities. So exactly what does that mean? Is that a different way of delivering transit to the area? Is that something else?
Well, obviously, as you know, the west facility, for example, goes through Tualatin, and to be able to make the connections to that, the ability to be able to have other potential transit-related, maybe an information hub or other things, we want to make sure that it gets really focused on the transit-related facilities that could be there. The second is really the design issue, and that is, does it have easy access? Are the pedestrian pathways both safe and convenient to be able to get to transit? So it's really looking at the whole and saying, we want to make sure that transit is in the forefront of your minds as you redevelop in the downtown Tualatin area. And it really has great potential, but it really needs to be able to think of transit as a key part of that rather than as an add-on after the fact.
Okay. No further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Resolution 100205, authorizing the lease for real property. Mr. General Manager.
Thank you, Mr. President, board members. We briefed you before on the mobility center, the Lyft Mobility Center. I think you saw a PowerPoint presentation on that. This is the lease for that actual space that's there, and it really is an opportunity to be able to accomplish many things. One is, as we are evaluating Lyft eligibility, we want to make sure we're making that call right. That is the person really eligible for Lyft? Is it a temporary because of a surgery or a temporary condition, or is it really something that's permanent? Number two is we want to be able to, at the facility, if you recall, it has mock-ups of an actual Lyft deployment from a bus, so people can experiment with a mobility device, for example, going up the ramp, how will it work, and so on, to be able to maneuver around in terms of sidewalks and various other things. So it really is a training opportunity as well. Third, it's an educational opportunity. What we have found is for people who can take fixed route, and these are only for people who can take it, maybe not for all their trips, but for at least some of them, they get much more freedom. They have much greater ability to be able to have their own mobility under their control than using Lyft. Lyft is door to door, and that's obviously very handy in some regards and necessary in some. But it's it's a fairly large window of when you have to be ready to be picked up, and you can't do anything else because you've got to be ready to be picked up anywhere within that window. And likewise, when you're being picked up from and being returned home. So the opportunity is to educate here as well. And then lastly, as you heard from Board Member Williams, the securement issue. Here we are able to actually, we are looking at distributing the actual securement materials that would help people be able to be secured in their mobility device if that's really what's chosen. So it provides for a number of opportunities. This location is where we had, and Stacy and Whitbeck had, the co-located oversight of construction on the Green Line on the Portland Mall. So it's a space that we're very familiar with. It's very accessible by bus and by transit, so it really means that people who are coming there can get to it easily. Lastly, I will look over at Kelly and indicate that the first person that went through the eligibility process, this was Kelly's mother, and it ended up working, I think, very well for her. So, happy to answer any questions, but this is a resolution to be able to apply for the actual lease. As you can see, it can be extended over a number of years, and we think that this will make very good sense, make the Lyft program work better for the individuals. We think it also will help, obviously, a Lyft trip is about 11 times more expensive than a fixed route. We want to make sure we reserve those Lyft trips for people who really need them, not for people who can, in fact, get probably better quality travel, but at least certainly to be able to preserve that ability for people who really need it.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Second.
Second, discussion.
Fred, I just have one quick question, because I know it's a concern of the CAT committee, and that is, with this building being downtown, serviced by the buses itself, will that disrupt traffic on door to door, or will you have to park around the corner?
We generally will park around the corner, but it's very, very accessible. I've got a, Dan?
No, the staff works with the city and has a designated space for the people right at the front door.
Okay, pardon me, I was thinking that it's back in the old, okay?
Okay.
Good, I misspoke.
Thank you.
All right, no further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay, that concludes the business part of our meeting. And now
Did we do all three?
I'm sorry.
All three.
Oh, Did you want to say something?
No.
Okay. So I, okay,
Pardon? The one with the starters and starter bikes?
Yeah,
okay. 0203 was
A part of the consent agenda. I think it got put into the book under the resolution. Should have been one page earlier.